Carried her from London to Lagos. Took her for a drive round in August. No funny complications between us. Don't feel free to. Okay, so still on our series that have been ongoing for some weeks now, we'll be discussing the Nigerian defense policy in the digital age. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
We'd like you to tell us more about what Nigerian defense policy is currently and what exactly it should be running on the digital age.
Currently, no military experience, only business experience. I can't talk about anything policy, when it comes to defense. But all I know is that, globally, most of the defense system currently operate a reactive approach. When there is an uprising or issue between border to border or within the country, you now deploy military to go and quench, kind of those uprisings or just challenges or any security breach that may happen, But these systems are no more the system that countries need to imbibe, more especially a country like ours, Nigeria. If you look into United States, for instance, they have almost 600 and something billion US dollars in their defense spending, and only with about 1.3 million military men on the ground. Now, but they are categorized as the biggest kind of the most highly secure and biggest defense budget in the world. That means the most secure and the country with the largest response capacity to any breach of their security, not by the sheer numbers of the defense kind of personnel they have, like the soldiers and the military men they have, but by the tools that empowers those military men and women in uniform to be able to attend to any breach that may come upon. These tools are the technology given to them to make sure that they function effectively in trying to discharge their duties. So, Nigerian defense system, whatever it is very clear that it's actually a very reactive system currently, because due to lack of intelligence, we were able to have some uprisings here and there coming up in the country and breaching the peace and security of the citizens, simply because the defense system is usually very reactive. When Boko Haram started and all these terrorist organizations here and there, the defense system is supposed to have some intelligence to identify these threats before they become a viable confrontational threat, and then deploy the necessary means to mitigate it at that point before it now begin to consume life of the citizens of the country. So because it's reactive, until something happens, then I can now have a breach response. This is actually where the problem is. Any defense system that is designed around incident response and the breach response is a problem. It's supposed to be preventive in nature. So this is actually why I think there's supposed to be some review around the defense system of the country.
Okay, so how does running on the digital age really makes us go, one step ahead to prevent things instead of just curing them? Like you said, they're supposed to be a preventive measures. How does it get to do with technology?
In every system, from history, the whole world, from the beginning of time till now, there is always state actors and non-state actors, and everybody claiming to be able to take legitimacy in the right to certain things. It may be maybe a given geographic area, it may be a given resource. Everybody wants to control one thing or the other. So there are legitimate institutions, which is called the state actors, and the illegitimate institutions, which are called the rebels. Now, before rebellion can start, there must be ideological backing for this rebellion. There must be certain level of conviction. And before this conviction can start, it must start from one individual in many instances. Then that person starts spreading the net by talking to the second person and the third person and then creating the network. Then a coordination will now begin. Then an approach to how whatever it is that is their ideology will now be created, and this is how we want to go about doing what we are going to do. Then, of course, they will need the tools to arm themselves to go and carry out whatever evil activities they plan to do. With intelligence within the defense system, from inception, from the time this kind of volatile and toxic ideologies start to develop, you can be able to identify this and get it mitigated at the infant stage, as I said earlier. But now we have technology tools. There is hardly any terrorist organization that can function effectively without deploying technology to assist him. You must use a mobile phone, you must buy a weapon, You must try to buy some chemicals, you mix up to be able to make up IED to start bombing people. You must do those kind of things. You understand what I mean? Now, there are technology systems in place that you must deploy to be able to carry out whatever activities you want to do, however evil it might be. How do we do to make sure that immediately you start tapping into those things that are not part of the areas where you are approved of? How can we be able to mitigate it? When you deploy the right technology to be able to ensure that everybody will stay within the norm. One thing that happened, like in the West society, like today we have a very brutal, very bad attack in Manchester, very regrettable attack by cowards, I can say, you know. Now, one of the mistakes that happened that even give this kind of terrorist leverage was because the Western world, in most cases Europe, does not depend entirely on the technology tools to be able to mitigate attacks. They just leave it as, okay, no problem, let it happen. But American system, American society were able to detect this thing long time ago and then put all the tools they need in place to be able to checkmate excesses of every individual weighing against their system. So now it is this time, I think even last year, that British were budgeting about $3 billion, you know, on cyber security. You need to have a lot of investment in cyber security. The warfare is no more by the borders again. Yesterday I was discussing with you guys and I mentioned about the fact that geography are no more defined by your border that was designed for you. Geography is now borderless. Now, most of the defense strategy is now more inward than outward. You don't expect Nigeria to go to war with another country anytime soon. But you expect Nigeria constantly to have some uprising within. Now, the coordinated approach to be able to quench this thing must be from within. Although, of course, there are some surveillance systems that when deployed, they try to breach privacy and security of individuals. But there's some level of surveillance that need to be acceptable to the citizens in order for us to be able to stay safer. Now, those things can only be achieved when you have the necessary technology deployed in order to be able to quench that. What we need to do is that with the cyberspace, with every individual connecting to cyber technology to be able to interact, to connect, to communicate, to coordinate, and to do whatever activity, we should be able to have intelligence and be able to track down every criminal that is having a criminal intent and that he was able to put this criminal activity outside, from within to outside, to the next individual. The defense technology should be able to have this kind of capacity. And you can actually be able to do that successfully when you have the right cyber kind of security in place, the right cyber security deployed as a technology tool to be able to carry out that. This is going to give us opportunity to deploy preventive approach, you know, to the rise of every kind of rebellion that may come up that may end up consuming life. You understand what I mean? So that is exactly what I think in the digital age defense is going to assist as much as possible.
Carried her from London to Lagos, took her for a drive round in August, no funny complications.